Guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I want to make sure y'all can see. There we go.
Team in the storm zone. Also tonight, the first two of Donald Trump's 18 co-defendants in the Georgia election case surrendering at an Atlanta jail. Among them, attorney John Eastman, accused of funding what's been called a fake elector scheme. It comes as Mr. Trump confirmed.
Hey guys, I'm back. So yeah, everybody, like a lot of people's been asking me like how to buy my book, and I wanted to tell you that the only way you can purchase this book here is if you want it through the mail. I can send it to you through the mail. You can email me. Matter of fact, I'm gonna put my email in the chat box real quick. My email is AJ426 459 at gmail.com. Shoot, that's right. Yeah, that's my email. I'm about to put my Instagram in real quick. Instagram AJ Gamer 06. Okay. There we go. Just want to make sure y'all can see. There we go.
Cable cars live snaps in Pakistan. The incredible video, a helicopter hoisting one passenger to safety. A home explosion that killed the father of an NFL star. What we're learning. The fatal school bus crash in Ohio on the first day of the new school year. The gunman identifying the fatal shooting of a California shop owner over her pride flag. Was it a hate crime? And America's Sha'Carri Richardson racing into history. The thrilling moment she became the world's fastest woman.
This is NBC Nightly News with Lester Holt.
I'm trying to do my thumbnail.
Good evening and welcome everyone. Tonight, as the tropical storm season heats up with a new storm battering Texas, Southern California is still feeling the effects of its rare encounter with a tropical storm over the weekend. Since then, rescuers have been focused on reaching people in mountain communities who have been cut off by washed out roads, rescuing many trapped in homes and cars by mud, debris, and rising floodwaters. Crews resorting to using the bucket of a bulldozer to lift residents of a care home to safety. Tropical storm Hillary barreled through the region, dumping record amounts of rain. Idaho and Montana, along with Oregon and Nevada, all broke rainfall records. Nevada measuring over 9 inches. And now tonight, parts of South Texas getting drenching rains after Tropical Storm Harold came ashore today on South Padre Island. And there was brewing trouble in the Caribbean tonight as well. Aaron McLaughlin has the very latest.
Tonight, Tropical Storm Harold makes landfall in southern Texas, bringing heavy wind and rain. As some in Southern California are digging themselves out of the mess Tropical Storm Hillary left behind. After record rainfall flooded streets and blanketed entire communities in sludge.
Sad that we have to go through all of this.
The round-the-clock cleanup continues. In the San Bernardino National Forest, a harrowing search and rescue operation now underway after a massive mudslide barreled down the mountain. Completely wiped out this bridge, cutting off a small community just over that way, home to the only person missing from Tropical Storm Hillary. That community now covered in mud. The source tells NBC News the search for the missing woman now underway.
Scariest thing my whole life.
Up the road, resident Stephanie Noyes and her dogs were rescued today after being stranded for more than 48 hours.
How'd you get the word out that you needed help? I found out earlier. I went out to the river out there and had a white towel when the helicopter came over. I started going like that, and I guess they came back and told them that there was somebody to rescue.
Meanwhile, near Palm Springs, relief.
Thank God. You see us.
After firefighters rescued the elderly using construction equipment.
There's sinkholes back there. There's still standing mud of up to 5 feet.
That is new video released shows this Alaska Airlines flight making a dramatic landing in Orange County during the height of the storm. Sparks flying from the landing gear. The cause is still being investigated. Meanwhile, overnight, a life-threatening emergency at a Los Angeles hospital.
We had 241 patients are actually impacted by this power outage.
After the backup generators failed, firefighters desperately evacuated patients, some critically ill. A woman gave birth to a healthy baby girl under the glow of flashlights.
And we had a whole lot of them. And the baby's fine.
Tonight, as California recovers, no relief for Texas after Mother Nature's relentless onslaught.
And Aaron, you're close to that isolated community in Southern California. Are there still rescues going on?
Yes, Lester, that's what we understand, that they've been rescuing people by helicopter. In fact, I've been listening to the sound of a chopper not far from here. As for this road, they say it'll take weeks, if not months, to repair.
Attention Lumberton! Attention Reefer! Y'all too! For Liberty! Richardson Honda is letting you do the math. Rates as low as 0.9% on new Honda. Saving shop. LumbertonHonda.com. Exit 22 up I-95.
Buyer's remorse? Never heard of her. With Rent the Runway, you can wear every designer name or viral trend that catches your eye. Change up your style as often as you want. Go ahead. Try what feels tempting.
Lester,
Aaron McLaughlin starting us off. Aaron, thanks. Let's bring in Bill Cairns now, who's tracking this. You're keeping an eye on some developments in the Atlantic.
Yeah, good evening, Lester. Now that we're done with Harold, we're going to move on to Franklin quickly. This storm is going to be a big problem for Haiti and the Dominican Republic in the next 24 to 48 hours. It's not a powerful storm. It doesn't have a lot of strong winds, but it's a slow-moving storm that's going to move over really tall mountains, and that's a recipe for disaster. We could see up to 15 inches of rain in isolated cases. So that's the story tomorrow. Everyone wants to know, though, what happens after Franklin leaves the Dominican Republic? Well, it kind of lingers here in between Bermuda and Bahamas and off the East Coast. Hurricane Center has it becoming a Category 1 hurricane. By the time we get to Sunday, our long-term computer models make it an even stronger storm, but safely off the East Coast early next week. But close enough, we have to keep an eye on this.
We'll be watching, Bill. Thanks very much. Also breaking this evening, the first co-defendants surrendering today in the Georgia election conspiracy case involving former President Trump. It all comes on the eve of the first Republican primary debate. Garrett Haig is covering it for us this evening.
Tonight, the first of Donald Trump's 18 co-defendants in the sweeping election interference case in Georgia beginning to surrender for processing at Fulton County's infamous Rice Street Jail. Attorney John East, charged with orchestrating the Trump campaign's fake elector scheme, booked and released on a $100,000 bond.
Do you still think the election was stolen? Absolutely. Still.
No question. No question. And Scott Hall, a bail bondsman charged with attempting to breach election equipment.
Is there something wrong here? There absolutely is.
The former president posting overnight his intention to turn himself in on Thursday, attacking the case against him as a witch hunt. Mr. Trump's Fulton County appearance also intended to pull the political spotlight away from Wednesday's first Republican debate in Wisconsin, which he has chosen to skip, citing his commanding lead in the polls. The former president's absence dividing his rivals.
The frontrunner who has decided not to be there will be out on bail in 4 different jurisdictions. We can no longer pretend that this is normal. We can't pretend that this is acceptable.
I have no issue with him skipping the first couple of debates. This is a good opportunity for me to introduce myself to the country.
People are starving for a message of hope and optimism, as long as it's anchored in conservatism.
With 8 candidates participating, Mr. Trump's closest rival, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, will take center stage and expects to take the majority of the jabs from other candidates.
I don't think it's any secret that I'm going to be probably the guy that people are going to come after.
And Garrett, as you know, there's been speculation the former president is trying to draw attention away from this debate.
That's right, Lester. He has pre-taped an interview with former Fox host Tucker Carlson that should be posted online tomorrow. And it's posted he expects to be very busy tomorrow, suggesting he may have other debate distractions in the works. Lester.
Garrett, thanks. Overseas, a daring rescue operation playing out all day today. 7 children and their teacher trapped in a dangling cable car in the mountains of Pakistan after one of the cables broke. Raf Sanchez has late details.
Tonight, a perilous rescue nearly 1,000 feet off the ground.
7 children and 1 teacher trapped on this cable car on their way to school, left dangling over a ravine after an overhead line snapped. Pakistani military helicopters circling above, lowering commandos by rope, but trying not to shake the car with the force of their rotors. Cable cars are a common way to travel in remote areas with poor roads. And with crowds gathering below, one man making a frantic call to local TV from on board the car. It's a matter of human lives, he says. The authorities should rescue all of us as soon as possible. And then, on the helicopter's third pass, success. This student stepping off the car and lifted to safety. The choppers forced to land when the sun set. But locals and rescue teams working in the darkness, using improvised pulleys to get everyone else to safety.
When the helicopter operation could not go on,
Video.
I think the rescuers made this brave decision because they didn't want the kids to be waiting all night and the parents to be suffering from anxiety. So I think this was a very brave decision.
Pakistan's prime minister tweeting, all the kids have been successfully and safely rescued. A happy ending to what was so nearly a tragedy. Ralph Sanchez, NBC News.
In Ohio today, 1 child was killed and 23 others were injured when their school bus crashed. Officials say it happened on a road in Lawrenceville, west of Columbus, when the bus collided with a minivan that was in the wrong lane, causing the bus to overturn. Most of the injuries were described as non-life-threatening. This was the first day of the school year there. And in Mooresville, North Carolina, authorities are investigating the deadly explosion of a house owned by Tennessee Titans cornerback Caleb Farley. Officials said Farley's father, Robert, died in the explosion and another man was injured. The cause is under investigation, but authorities reported the smell of gas on the property. In Southern California, authorities are calling it a potential hate crime. The fatal shooting of a shop owner and noted designer in a dispute over a pride flag. Here's Maggie Vespa.
Tonight, a California resort town consumed with grief after Lori Carlton, a store owner, wife, and mother of 9, was killed, authorities say, confronting hate.
Tough for me not to just break down.
The San Bernardino County Sheriff says Travis Iguchi shot the 66-year-old Friday at her Lake Arrowhead area shop, adding her death is now being investigated as a potential hate crime.
Iguchi tore down a pride or rainbow flag that was hanging in front of the Magpie store and yelled many homophobic slurs. And during the confirmation, Iguchi shot and killed Carlton.
Nearby business owners say customers ran from the scene. Deputies later killing Iguchi in a shootout. The sheriff says the 27-year-old was armed with an unregistered semi-automatic handgun, noting his social media is rife with anti-LGBTQ posts.
It looks like the suspect acted alone, but we want to be sure that that's the case.
Carlton didn't identify as LGBTQ, but friends say she was an ally. Her death comes amid a rise in attacks against the LGBTQ community. One study tracking more than 350 incidents of hate and extremism between June 2022 and April 2023. Outside a second store Carlton owned in Los Angeles, a growing memorial. Robin Lyles was a close friend. How do you make sense of this?
You can't make sense of it. It's senseless.
Carlton's daughter calling her mom fearless, writing on Instagram her flags had been torn down before and she always responded by putting up a bigger one, adding simply, our family is broken. Maggie Vespa, NBC News.
In 60 seconds, what's behind at least 9 cases of malaria this summer in 3 states as cases turn up farther and farther north? We'll talk with a top researcher looking for answers. That's
Ever wonder what the Experian app can do? With tools for a brighter financial future, benefits are all around you. See your FICO score for free. Raise it instantly with Experian Boost to prepare for your next big purchase. Find a new credit card that matches your lifestyle. And get notified of changes in your credit to stay protected. With so many solutions, all in one place. Download the Experian app and try it for free.
The hooked platter at Firehouse Subs, piled high, honey ham and smoked turkey under velvet Monterey Jack. It's hearty enough to satisfy any appetite. Come see why it's been our most craved sub since day one. The hooked platter, only at Firehouse Subs.
Back now with the search for answers after 9 cases of malaria popped up in the U.S. this summer. Malaria was virtually wiped out of the U.S. in the 50s, but there is concern climate change may be helping to bring it back. Here's Tom Costello.
The big question for researchers is a new homegrown strain of malaria showing up across the country, or is it malaria coming from overseas? How many mosquitoes are in there?
About 200, and we grow about 50,000 mosquitoes a week.
Dr. Fotini Sinis runs the Johns Hopkins Malaria Research Institute, where they study the mosquitoes that carry malaria. While the U.S. largely eliminated malaria more than 60 years ago, 500,000 people still die each year in Africa, with children most at risk. But this summer, 9 people have been diagnosed in the U.S. In Florida,
we do have a settled case of malaria that's been locally transmitted.
1 case in Texas, and recently 1 in Maryland, the furthest case so far north in decades. But none of the victims had traveled to a malaria endemic region. Mosquitoes live just 2 to 4 weeks, so were the victims bitten by mosquitoes that had picked it up from a foreign traveler, or is the malaria homegrown?
And the question is, given climate change, is this going to become more frequent? We actually don't know the answer to that.
Mosquitoes need heat, humidity, and standing water. During milder winters, like the one we had in the mid-Atlantic, fewer mosquitoes die off in the winter, which means there are more of them in the summer.
They can start reproducing earlier. So by the time we get to June, we have more mosquitoes.
The first signs of malaria infection, body aches and chills, a fever of 104, and GI problems. See a doctor quickly. Pregnant women are especially vulnerable. Experts recommend wearing long sleeves and using mosquito repellent, and remove still standing water anywhere near the house. Tom Costello, NBC News, Baltimore.
And coming up as we continue tonight, students disciplined by their schools and getting little opportunity to defend themselves. Our NBC News investigation is next. Now to our NBC News investigation into school punishments. In some states, students who believe they've been unfairly suspended or expelled may not always get an opportunity to adequately defend themselves. Our Priscilla Thompson reports.
Who's the start of the situation? This is from the superintendent.
What were some of your goals?
Playing my senior year, having my dad and mom walk me out. The senior game day, taking my mom to prom.
Dreams that were shattered last November when Corey Jones of Tuscaloosa, Alabama, was accused of bringing marijuana to campus after police say they found weed in a car he and 4 friends rode in.
What has this process been like?
Hell.
CJ, who received special services in school for a learning disability, says he was called into the office and read his Miranda rights, which he told police he didn't understand.
He repeatedly asked me, like, who is it? Who is it? Well, they saying it's yours. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know who it is.
Police investigated and charged someone else, not CJ, who had no prior disciplinary issues, his attorney says. But CJ says he spent nearly 2 months in school suspension before getting a disciplinary hearing, where his dad says CJ was given little chance to defend himself. Were you all allowed to see the evidence against CJ?
Go ahead.
Were you all allowed to challenge the statements made by his accusers?
No, ma'am.
Tuscaloosa City Schools then ordered CJ attend alternative school for 45 days.
I mainly was mad. I cried in front of all of them. Because I was hurt.
An NBC News investigation found students' ability to defend against what can be life-altering punishments largely depends on where they live. Several states, including Nevada, Virginia, and Alabama, don't specify students' rights in state law, but rather give broad authority to school districts. Do you feel like you all got any due process?
No, ma'am. Due process does not exist in the school system here in Alabama.
CJ's parents hired an attorney, but district policy prohibited her from being inside the meeting where they tried to appeal his punishment. Charles Bell has spent more than a decade studying punishment in schools.
Literally pushing children out of school.
More than 2.6 million students were expelled or suspended for the most recent year federal data is available. Black students were suspended at a rate more than double the national average, though experts say Black kids don't misbehave more often.
You have to leave, you're guilty, and we don't want to hear from you anymore. That's the thinking that we've created with allowing broad discretion in zero tolerance policies.
Tuscaloosa City Schools declined NBC's request for an on camera interview, but say their policies exceed due process requirements and that when students violate the code of conduct, they are given notice of the alleged violation, an explanation of the evidence supporting the violation, and an opportunity to respond.
No one had the time to listen to me. You accept what we do, that's it.
You got the diploma. CJ's parents refused to send him to alternative school.
That's what I accomplished.
Instead, he finished his senior year online.
Thinking about these kids, they look like me. I got to fight like him. I'm not going to stop.
As CJ moves forward, his family continues to fight against what they see as a broken system. Priscilla Thompson, NBC News, Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
Up next here tonight, the American who just became the fastest woman in the world.
Hey guys,
The
I'm back.
GMC AG4 lineup, premium and capable.
I'm just me and Mama just outside burning trash, guys.
Plus 750.
But I'll be back.
2023 Sierra's and
I will be
5.3 88 luxury houses. We are professional grade GMC.
Okay, guys. I'll be back in a few.
Finally, after a suspension cost her a spot at the Tokyo Olympics, American Sha'Carri Richardson had made a spectacular return by officially becoming the fastest woman in the world. Here's Ann Thompson.
You are capable of winning this race.
Sha'Carri Richardson took the worst lane, lane 9, and 10.65 seconds later made the best of it. World champion in the 100 meters, a remarkable comeback for the 23-year-old who had gold medal aspirations before the Tokyo Olympics.
It feels amazing. It feels like everything I paid off.
In 2021, Richardson nearly made the Olympic team until she tested positive for marijuana after learning of the death of her mom. The subsequent suspension knocked her out of the Tokyo Games.
I would like to say to my fans, for my family, for my sponsorship, I apologize.
Now her running does the talking.
I wanted my performance to speak all the words that I needed to speak myself.
Trailing for most of the race, Richardson surged ahead of the Jamaicans, including the defending world champ.
Seeing my name pop up also with a PR.
A personal record that took a while to sink in.
This entire season, I know I belong. I know I deserve to be here. And it just feels amazing to execute that as well.
Leaving the past behind.
I'm not bad. I'm better.
Tonight, Sha'Carri Richardson is the fastest woman in the world. Ann Thompson, NBC News.
And that's nightly news for this Tuesday. Thank you for watching. I'm Lester Holt. Please take care of yourself and each other. Good night. Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.
I'm gonna just end the live stream here. And like I said, I have two. Here's one of the books right here. It's about Betty White. I've never read it all, Betty White. There's one of them. The other one, this one right here is about Whitney. That one there, this one about Betty. This one's not for sale. That one's 14 books, but that one's not for sale. This one right here about Whitney Houston is $20. But yeah, besides that, guys, I love y'all so much. Thanks for watching. And I'm sorry I wasn't here in for the last couple minutes of the live, but I will come back after the computer charges. Have a blessed rest of you guys' night. And I love y'all so much. Thanks for watching. And always, like always, thanks for always supporting me and all that. I'll be back. Peace, guys.